Well, we'd like to welcome everyone to our re-recording of Changing the Game webinar. I'm so happy to have with me Jason from Solibri. Do you want to just give us a brief introduction, Jason?
Yeah, hey Joe, thanks for having me. Jason Rachel, I'm country manager and sales director for Solibri in the Americas, and happy to be joining you today.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We appreciate your insights. My name is Joe Magus. I'm the CEO of Fusion Tech, and we are a local or a Canadian reseller of Solibri Solutions. Very proud to do that. And we really have some interesting information about the industry and about Celibri's positioning in the industry that I think is very valuable. Our basic premise is that the game has changed, and it's changed in a couple different ways. The first way it's changed is model review tools were are currently used by the few. Or in other words, there's very few people doing model review, but now these tools are needed by the many. Is that what you see in the industry today, Jason?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that from our customers as well as new companies we're talking to. I think historically, Solibri was used by a very kind of small subset of users or a group in the company, and now with models trying to provide and just so many more uses in a project that more and more people are wanting to get in on, validating those models earlier.
Yes. It isn't a shift in the industry where everyone needs to review or look at their own work and can benefit from the BIM information that pertains to them. And of course, we draw some of our inspiration from Star Trek when we talk about the needs of the many. So these are the needs of the many. And we'll show this pyramid here when we say the needs of the few or the VDC managers, the BIM manager, these are traditionally the ones that have done this model review. Traditionally, these are the ones that have bought Solibri solutions or use Navisworks or use other tools out there. But the many, the needs of the many are just as important. And the problem with this pyramid that model checking is only serving the needs of the few is that we have this situation. If you reverse the pyramid, and I really want your thoughts on this, Jason, what we have is we have concentrated risk hinging on a few people, the VDC managers. And yet the rewards to everyone else are sort of unrealized. What's your thoughts on this, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, I think with such a small, group of people on the project, traditionally kind of running the model checking, that's a lot of risk, a lot of work on a smaller group of people. And meanwhile, there's, designers, architects, engineers, and of course the all the different contractors that really have a stake in it and should bear some of that risk. And so, they too can be looking over their models, their designs, their constructability. So that's kind of that shift that we're seeing.
Right. We want the risk to the few to be the rewards of the many is what we want to see, and that trend is happening in the industry. For example, I had a discussion the other day. I want to share it with you, with our audience, and I was talking to a mechanical engineer. Now he works at a facility management kind of role or project management in a municipality, but this kind of sums up what people feel. I don't see the value of a 3D model. I just use PDF. So that's what he told me initially. So that sounds kind of negative. He says, except I think a 3D of the mechanical room would be helpful. So while this engineer was trying to tell me he didn't see the need for model review, he actually was confirming what my basic premise was. He doesn't need to review the whole model,
Right.
but to review the part that affects him is beneficial.
Yeah. And if this person here is used to using PDFs, he probably has, a well-defined QA/QC process in that 2D PDF world, but then going to, okay, he wants to look at it now in a 3D model, there is kind of that bridge to, well, now how do I really check my 3D models and run quality checks like he does in the PDF world. And so that's where we can certainly come in and help.
uh, amazing insights. So we talk about the needs of the many being important. Something else has changed in that AI has arrived and it offers enormous potential. Um, but is it rude to say that most of the data in most models today is kind of garbage? Is that too rude?
It's we see a lot of different situations, and over modeling is definitely contagious, it seems like, with just a lot of stuff being put into the models just because you can. And certainly you want to try to filter that out.
Yeah, and it's the data has been overlooked.
Yeah,
The drawings come out, but often the data is overlooked in the model delivery. It's simply not even looked at. The data is put in to get the drawings out, but the integrity of the data beyond that often is kind of not great.
yeah,
Um, so then we talk about the dangers of bad data. We're not going to show the video, but in this presentation, but when Michael Scott drove into the lake, following the data, following the information that was being given to him by the GPS, uh, but perhaps that data was, even though there's incredible intelligence behind the system, if the data is wrong, you can get to disastrous outcomes using technology.
right. Yeah, and with some of the models in the projects today, it's not possible to really go in and manually try to verify that the data is in there, it's correct, it's kind of following the standards that you would expect. So you do need good technology and automation to help with that.
Yes. They used to say garbage in, garbage out. It's been overused, but it kind of still applies. So this is kind of what we see is that to go from BIM to AI, really the bridge in between or the thing stopping us is the quality of the data. We need better data to feed into AI or for AI to utilize so that we can get these powerful insights and analysis from that technology. But we can't get there, at least in my opinion, until the data improves in the BIM models.
Yeah, and we see, I mean, even before we get to AI, there's, a lot of companies want to get to 4D and 5D and digital twins, but it's really difficult to get there if we can't get the 3D correct, we can't get the data correct, we can't validate that the geometry is all correct. So, yeah, certainly to get to AI, but even with some of these other um, goals and steps in the process, validating the data in the models is just so critical.
Yes, good points. Um, so we see that the industry is changing. There's a need to serve the needs of the many, and there's a need for better data. Solibri is changing as well. There's now a cloud version of Solibri that's available, and this really can serve the needs of the many in the sense that it offers a simplified approach to model checking. And as a special bonus, which is of interest to new customers and to existing customers, the desktop and cloud version are now bundled together. So you don't need to choose between them. You kind of get the best of both worlds with Solibri, which is amazing. And these solutions serve the needs of the many as well as the needs of the few. Can you speak to kind of the thinking behind some of these changes in Solibri's portfolio?
Yeah, sure. So what we call Solibri Cloud now, previously was probably better known as Solibri Checkpoint. That was a cloud, new cloud product that we had launched in 2025. And with this new kind of platform approach, what we're doing is we're able to really, make better use of our development efforts. So rather than having to develop, the cloud application and then the Solibri Office desktop application and kind of decide which direction each of those are going and almost kind of competing against each other, we're now really consolidating our development efforts to bring the products closer together and then be able to share data or share models between them and then let whatever your role is in the project, whatever your goal is in the model checking kind of process, you get to choose which of those interfaces is really better suited for you.
Yes, that's amazing. And also some amazing developments in terms of AI assistants and point clouds that we will briefly cover on in this. That deserves a whole different webinar, but lots of kudos to Solibri for making these tools that are going to really benefit the industry. Um, so when we drill down, when we go to how does Solibri serve the needs of the many? Well, what do the many need? That individual I talked about, that engineer, he wants basic model checking, quick access, a simplified interface. Um, that engineer at the municipality, he wants to do a kind of a basic checkup. You know, you go to the doctor and he taps on your knee and he takes a few vitals, but it's a fairly quick checkup, right? There's no need for surgery at this point. It doesn't go beyond, it might take just 15 minutes, but it's very critical to get some of those basic uh, things checked. Uh, and that's the positioning of Solibri Cloud. It's like this basic checkup. Um, and just while I bring it up, any insights from you, Jason?
That's a great analogy. I really like this one because, yeah, everyone should go in for a basic checkup, and there are certain things you can do to just get some, quick health, kind of a quick health check. And that's exactly what the Solibri Cloud environment is for, is to keep it simple, keep it quick, be able to go in and really do a health check on your models. And it's a great solution for kind of these basic checkups.
Great. And we're checking basically for three things:
Yep.
flash, clearance, and data. And
Yep.
those are the most common things even that are used. Um, so let's just talk a little bit about how the advantage of the cloud really is different. We're talking about Sleeper in the cloud as being an intuitive interface, simplified workflow. Um, one of the real nice benefits is the ability to upload not just IFC files, but native Revit files. We can just take a Revit file and just upload it straight from straight from a desktop or another location, and it goes right in seamlessly. It's a huge advantage.
Yeah, this has been huge in North America, where, of course, everybody uses Revit. IFC is still kind of slowly coming along in terms of adoption. And so a lot of companies don't know now that we have this ability to just read native Revit files. So this is huge.
It's very impressive how well it works. And the other thing is a lot of these Revit files or IFCs possibly are stored in locations. They're up in the cloud already. So another great thing Solibri Cloud does, it can connect, get access to these models, and then synchronize back with issue management to all these popular platforms. Uh, so that's a real advantage. Now let's just quickly take a look at the cloud version of Solibri. We're just gonna flip over here. So I just logged in. This is in Google Chrome. How nice is that? And I just logged in here to the authenticated. We'll just open a sample project just to show there can be multi-disciplines in here. I'll open this playground project. Of course, loading these models is so quick compared to even starting Revit up. I don't even think Revit could start in the time that we were able to open this whole project, right? So in this project, we have an architectural model, we have an MEP, and we have a structure. And of course, very, very easy to turn things on and off and to query around. Um, we won't spend a lot of time looking at that. So if we want to just see our structural, let's say we just want to see our structural and our mechanical. So there we go. So nice and fast. We're going to go back to our projects and we're going to open another project, a very simple project. Um, Now in this project, basically, just to show how easy it is to navigate to do some model checking, we have 7 buttons across the top. Now, this makes this interface so easy. We won't go into a lot of depth, but right off the bat, we'll just go right into filters. Of course, we can access data, uh, and we can access the model geometry. So we'll go to filters. Filters is a way of breaking up a project. So anyone can do this. I'm just going to click on this filter, say I want to see on architecture, I want to see all my doors. There's my doors. I want to see all my walls. Okay. Or if I click on this architectural category, how nice is that? It kind of it kind of color codes everything based on all of the filters below it.
And what's nice, Joe, there is as you're doing that, the data viewer at the bottom is updating along with you. So if you're filtered right now, and you can even see the color coding down there in the data viewer, and you can see the green down there in the table. So it is reporting to you in the data viewer what you're seeing graphically. And of course, that data viewer can be, modified to show whatever properties that you want. So it's just a nice, kind of looks like a spreadsheet, and it just shows you whatever information that you want to see.
The other great thing I love is you just couple things. You right click on something, it's like quick clash. I mean, we gotta brand this expression. I want to do a quick clash. So it'll check if that object has any clashes with anything. Or as you said, we go click on element properties and we get this dialog box, which is similar to that, but we can see all of the Revit properties on this. Or
Yeah.
if it was IFC, we'd see those properties as well. But you can see that those familiar with Revit, this is exactly what the Revit data looks like. So it's fantastically easy. Now, once we kind of break our project, we filter our project down, then we can make some rules to check it. So for example, once we filter for our pipes and our structural walls, so if we go back here and we say, okay, I want to see my pipes. Well, there we go. I have 6 pipes. And then if I want to click over here and I want to see my structural walls, well, those are my structural walls. Now what I want to do is say, tell me if a pipe goes through a structural wall. And it's really just that easy to click on rules here. Um, I'll double click on there. And just to show you a bit of the interface without too much detail, is that we just say, I'm doing a clash between pipes and structural walls. That's the rule type. So as I run it, I find that these 3 pipes, 3 of them passed and 3 of them failed. 3 of those pipes went through structural walls and 3 did not. So that's very quick. Now that was just one rule type, clash. When we talk about this is where Solibri is a cut above most solutions in there. Just because something that clashes or doesn't clash doesn't mean it's not a problem. Clearance is another issue. So Solibri Cloud has the option of checking for clearance. So we have some units here, some HRU units, and we're basically saying instead of a clash, I'm just going to check, is there a free space for maintenance, for safety, for constructability? Is there enough free space around this equipment? Right? So this is super powerful. We'll just run that. That's basically what I'm doing is running free space, and I'm saying I'm checking those, and then I define the box. But we'll just double click there. And what I find is we have 2 of these units. One of them, the green, it's happy. The one in red, there's not enough clearance here for whatever reason, safety, constructability, maintenance, not enough clearance. So now we need to do something about that. You can very easily see one passed and one failed. Very easy.
Yeah, this is a really powerful one because what we see a lot of companies still doing is they build in these clearance zones into like the Revit families, right?
Yes.
And then they're running a clash check against that. So it's a lot of extra modeling. It's just a lot of extra stuff inside your model, and can give you a lot of false positives. So Solibri, the way we handle it in both the cloud and the desktop actually is we superimpose that kind of that clearance zone, and then we just check against that. There's no extra modeling needed.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very, very true. I have heard that as well. Um, so then the third check, which again, it's in that, these two are very good, the clash and I call it clearance. Sleeper calls it free space. We're all getting along though. The third is checking for data. So if we just take this look at this rule and I double click here, basically I'm just saying that I want to make sure that all my equipment has a manufacturer in it. Now, of course, you could pull a schedule of this in Revit, and that would be another way to do this. But not everyone has Revit, right? Not everyone opening these models can be slow. Whereas we can check the data very, very rigorously inside of Solibri Cloud. So here we go. We have these green ones. They have the manufacturer on them. This fellow over here, bit of a problem because it's under identity data, but it is missing that field in here. And again, how else would you notice you're missing it without a schedule, without some kind of mechanism like this? In fact, I'm having trouble even finding. I'll just go look here
There you
for
go.
manufacturer. There we go. Nice search, and we can see that there's no value under manufacturer. Okay. So the premise of Sleeper Cloud is just very quick. It's that quick health checkup to say, how are things looking? Do we have enough clearance? How's the data? Any clashes I need to be aware of?
And so, Joe, I think on this example right here, just something else, kind of another use case. So if you had equipment manufacturers and you had a specific list of those that you wanted to use on a project, you can just copy and paste that list directly into this rule that you have set up there.
Ah,
So if you had a list of 10 manufacturers, you could just choose one of, you choose the operator that says, or any of, sorry, any of,
yep.
right there. And then within that value box, you can paste a CSV list.
Ah,
So then if you've got a list of 10 manufacturers, it'll check the whole model to see does the manufacturer match one of those. So super easy to set up.
very nice. Lots of little tips and tricks in Checkpoint that aren't obvious to begin with, but are super powerful. Um, Amazing. So that's our quick checkup. This is for the needs of the many.
Yep.
Now, is it for the needs of the few? Possibly, but it for sure this serves the needs of the many. So back to our presentation. What are the needs of the few? What do VDC managers need? Well, they need intensive model checking. Um, Solibri does something. Solibri desktop, or when we talk about deep analysis, Solibri understands the what and the where. So when we talk about the desktop version, it can determine if something is missing from a certain space. Revit, for example, can determine if there's a fire alarm in a room. It can display that in a schedule. But I don't think in Revit it'll tell you if it's missing. Nobody can tell you if it's missing, except for Solibri Desktop has the ability to understand what should be there and where it should be. And if there's a mismatch there, it really it points these things that aren't obvious out. Um, it offers flexible classifications as a whole. It's like filtering 2.0, but it takes where the cloud version is and it goes a little further. And again, on our analogy, this would be the difference between that checkup and now doing an X-ray, where we're going beyond clash clearance data. We're checking for things missing. We're checking for accessibility. Is there enough space? Can we are we able to navigate uh, around fire safety building code issues? Um, what's your insights on this image?
Yeah, just again, I love the analogy. I think this is spot on. And so Solibri Desktop really gives companies that ability to just really dive deeper, to be able to kind of do an X-ray or, in this analogy, if you were to do lab work, to be able to really go in and just get underneath kind of the surface level to check for all kinds of things, and really be able to configure it and tailor it more to your company standards or the project standards or whatever jurisdiction that you're in, to just have more control over the types of checks that you want to do.
Yeah, yeah. You probably get the basic checkup more often than you get an X-ray though.
Right.
So this is for the needs of the few, and but when it's needed, it's highly critical. So we're we're not going to go through the workflow. It's very similar, Solibri desktop to Solibri desktop. It's just there's more buttons and there's a few more places where there's more nuance, and you get yourself into a room where you're dealing with a rule set manager. That's a different kind of place. Classifications are like filters, but they're deeper. There's much more you can do with them. But in essence, it is a similar workflow. It just has more nuance to it and more complexity. But when we flip over to Solibri desktop, we know it's the same model imported. Now this would have had to have been imported
Hey,
with
Joe, I lost your screen for
okay,
a
no
sec.
problem. Okay,
There, I can see it
okay.
now.
So this is the desktop version, and again, I we opened the same model there. In fact, I thought I wanted to open the clinic building, but we will get to that in a second. So this is the same model. It was loaded with IFC. Um, and what we see is we see just more nuance in the interface. Um, Now, when we go to run this check on here, we can first of all, one of the huge advantages of Solibri desktop is the rule set manager. Now, for those of you that are BIM experts, this is very similar to the family editor inside of Revit. You go to a separate room and you have templates set up and you create rules. Or in Revit, you create families that are so highly customized to what you need, down to the very letter of the law. So here's all the templates that you have. 160 templates in Solibri Desktop, dealing with a comparison between values, distance between objects, are objects in a certain space, the distance between spaces. Uh, this is very thorough. But the truth is, this doesn't serve the needs of the many very easily. This serves the needs of the few very well. Um, and so clicking on these rules or setting them up is number of components in space, for example. Will, this, it's amazing what you can do with some of these rules. We click on here, and we'll just check our properties. We can say, okay, the number I want to make sure in this kind of room, this kind of space, we have these many things. So if we have a mechanical room, we want to make sure that there's a fire alarm, a smoke alarm, or a
Yeah.
heat detector.
This one's really so Sleeper gets used a lot on like healthcare projects, and in hospitals, you can imagine that each hospital room has to have certain things in them, and so that's a great rule right there to make sure that you're getting everything into the appropriate rooms.
Yes, it's the rule set manager and this spatial awareness that really sets Solibri desktop apart. Now, when we go to check the model, we can check the same. We can get very similar kind of rules. There's just more nuance to it. For example, on my piping through, I made similar rules, but you notice on my what I added was I added a little tolerance here to say if they're smaller than a certain amount, forget about it. So I can build that right into our rule. So for example, here I can say, like I want a pipe, I want this. I can control the tolerance. I can control how severe. If it's this size, I want it to be reported as a severe thing. Uh, so just similar results, just more nuance. When we talk about the manufacturers checking data, well, if we look at this rule here, we will take a look. And again, we're checking for objects with data, and we were able to import that data right from an equipment, an Excel file. So similar, but we can link this and then refresh it right within Solibri Cloud. So if we were to check that model, which we did, we can find that yes, these are the objects that don't have data or don't match the manufacturer data that was agreed to in those lists. So powerful stuff. But just as a simple demonstration of where Solibri Desktop differentiates itself, we can check for code items, we can check for um, things like that. We'll just take a look at rooms that have water should have drains. Now, when we talk about in we can understand spaces through different lenses. They're called classifications. So they're just like filters, but they're just like a whole new level. So I can have Solibri understand these rooms have water in them, right? So there's the ones that have no water, and these ones that do. Well, technically there'd be more that don't, but um, so what we're able to do is do a quick check and say what rooms that should have water have a drain. So we're checking and we're finding out that these two rooms do not have a drain in them. Now, how are we able to check that in a Revit model? The drains are in a different project file. The rooms are over here. Um, how are you going to check that? How are you going to check if you have enough light switches or you have enough uh, uh, you have enough clearance for things? So really powerful stuff within Solibri desktop. Any thoughts, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, this is a great use case. I think another one along similar lines is like, if you've got electrical rooms, probably don't want your water pipes running over those, in case of a catastrophe or a leak. Sleeper can certainly check for things like that as well, to just kind of have that spatial awareness and be able to check to see does a pipe run over an electrical room. So there's all kinds of those types of use cases that are possible in our desktop product.
Yes. It's really designed for the needs of the few, though. So now when we talk about Celibri's current portfolio or the portfolio of the changes to the portfolio, right now this is what we have. We have Solibri Anywhere, which is free. We had Solibri Site, which is kind of an overlooked but available, and we have Solibri Office. Now what happened is Checkpoint got added as another product. It's just kind of floating there. It's cloud-based. The other ones are desktop. That's kind of what we had. The changes that have occurred basically are um, we now have Starter, which is an upgrade from Anywhere. We have Essentials, Advanced, and Premium. So this might look confusing, but we'll kind of break it down. And I'll start to explain it, and Jason can clarify, certainly from Celibri's viewpoint. If you're coming from Solibri Office, the clearest path forward is to move straight up to Advanced. What you get is you're getting very similar functionality. So it's the same product, but you're getting the cloud added. So this is a win situation. You're getting cloud access to Solibri Cloud added, which is amazing.
Yeah.
The other point I'll make, and then is if you're new to Solibri, where do you navigate this? Well, you can ignore everything at the bottom. I'd say there's a great opportunity for people brand new to Solibri to start at Essentials. You're going to get very similar functionality on the desktop version as the cloud version, and you can use either version. You can use them on various projects. You can decide which one works better under what circumstance. That this really is serving the needs of the few because you can start at essentials and get that basic checkup at a very cost-effective and very intuitive interface. Would you agree with that, Jason?
Yeah, that's a great starting point. For the reasons you just said. And so you're going to get the full cloud product that was previously Checkpoint. Plus, you're going to have access to the desktop product with limited functionality. It's not going to obviously be the full kind of the full product, but it's going to give you some kind of basic starter type of stuff where if you want to start to venture out into the desktop product and do some things, then that is there for you. Um, and that's a great starting point. And because these are tiers, the way we rolled this out is we have these four tiers now, is you can you can upgrade to then advanced if you've kind of gotten more mature in your model checking or just need some additional functionality from the desktop product and now want to go further into that, then you can just upgrade from essential to advanced and then likewise from advanced to premium if you need some of the premium features.
Right. And I did want to talk to you about that. Well, I'm glad you brought it up because uh, there's a huge chart, what features are on which products. But to sum it up, if a person went from Office to Advanced, they might consider wanting to go to Premium. Why would they
Yep.
consider going to Premium instead of Advanced?
Yeah, well, because we just rolled out some new features that are really exciting. The ones you have listed there. So point cloud functionality now exists within Solibri, and Uh, you can now import a number of different type of point cloud models. Not just import them, but we have dedicated rules, three of them, to check the point cloud models against your other BIM models that you bring into Solibri. So we can look for clashes, we can look for clearances, and we can look to see does the point cloud match up as expected with the BIM model. So that's a big one. The AI assistant that you show there, currently in beta, is another really cool feature that will help people just use Solibri Desktop kind of more easily to be able to help them set up rules, to be able to just query the model, tell me how many windows are in this model, how many tons of steel, just kind of some of those natural language type of questions that you might want to ask it. Um, those are currently two of the biggest differentiators, but certainly as we add some more advanced types of features like that, it'll be in premium. And then one other thing, Joe, I don't know if you're going to have it on here, is our new web checker. So the web checker interface is another new product, still in beta. But with premium, you get more runs. We call them runs. So you'd be able to run the web checker more. Same thing with auto run. So auto run functionality has been around in our Solibri desktop product for a while. And with the premium tier, then you get more runs on the auto run functionality as well. So there's a few differences. And by the way, all of this is outlined on our website. So we do have kind of a feature matrix that shows each of the tiers and what you get in each of the tiers.
Nice, yes. Um, so really a very powerful portfolio uh, for the
The
BIM.
point the point cloud stuff is super exciting. It's getting a lot of attention. A lot of the trade shows that we've gone to in the last few months, where we had the beta up and running, has a lot of people excited to see what we can do.
Yes, very impressive. So I guess our message for everyone is we want to democratize model review. We want model review for the masses. That engineer that just wanted the mechanical room, just want to check a few things, he should have easy access to do that. And the second thing we want to encourage is for everyone to learn to love good BIM data. Let's check BIM data and let's get it right. And then let's use AI and other applications to leverage this for all kinds of other insights. So I appreciate you joining me. This This was a re-record, so there's no questions at the end. But I thank you so much, Jason, for your insights, and I congratulate Solibri on all the product improvements and changes and what you're doing to meet the needs of the industry.
Thanks for having me, Joe. It was fun.